On my P40 Pro Plus, I've had this now it's been a week. I've had this phone for a week. I am still using this phone as my daily driver. I love it. I'm very impressed with the build quality of this phone. I've really enjoyed using it. I can't get over the build quality. I feel like the quality on this is it's better than my iPhone 11 Pro. It's better than almost, I think, any phone I've used in terms of build quality. It works really well. You know, obviously it doesn't have a lot of Google apps or apps in general because it doesn't use that framework, but I figured things out on this P40 Pro Plus. The one app that I use the most, and I have to thank Lucas for a lot of that, is the Aurora Store. I've used the Aurora Store for getting a lot of apps to work on my P40 Pro Plus, and I've been able to get almost everything on it. As I'm looking at it now, I'll just share through it. So, you know, the Amazon app, right? Both my banking apps, Capital One, the Chase app works really well on it. I've used Discord, Etsy. I've used Etsy as well. And then, you know, I found other substitutes, right? So instead of Google Maps, I use the Here We Go app. Instead of Google Chrome, I use Brave, not Brave. That's what Sean wanted me to use. I use Opera. And then for mail, I actually just switched over to Outlook, just testing Outlook out at this point. But like other apps like Instagram, Patreon, Reddit, Twitch, I use YouTube Vanced. I talked about that as well. Spotify. These are all apps I use. I'm able to use them fine on my phone, and they update great. And Telegram is another big one I use on there. Here's the thing too. So like I've used those. I've used the Amazon Store app right? Is it the Amazon Store app? Is that what they call it? Or the Amazon App Store. I'm sorry, Amazon App Store, to get other apps as well. And then yesterday I ended up downloading Lawnchair. So Lawnchair isn't something I've really ever used. And I downloaded it yesterday because I was using Nova, but I couldn't do some of the premium features that I had on Nova. But then I started using Lawnchair, and there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of stuff on Lawnchair that is free, that's available. And one of those things is just being able to swipe down anywhere to get notifications, and then swiping up anywhere to get to pull up my drawer, right? And so like the nice thing about it too is on Huawei's UI, they show suggested apps, and here I can turn that off. The one thing I don't like on phones is suggested apps, because I don't like seeing duplicates. I just like knowing where I'm getting my apps. You'll also notice that I hid the status bar on the top. I also have like the kind of Google at a glance thing where it shows me the date. I also have it showing me the time now that I removed the status bar on the top, because the status bar on the top is just, I don't know, it wasn't, it kind of just got in the way. I didn't like the way it looked. So it's real simple. Like this is as minimal as it gets, guys. So again, just swipe down for notifications, and then you'll see the status bar come up. It'll let me know if I'm on Wi-Fi or 5G or whatever. And so I can pull it down that way, battery percentage as well, notifications. Oh, and then obviously the quick shortcuts or whatever. And then pull up for drawer, right? All of that's in there. And then, so I don't have the Google feed, right? And then I thought about it. I was like, should I add the Google feed in here? And I didn't even know if it was possible or not. But then I was like, why do I need the Google feed? I get that, like the one thing I used with Google feed was to get news stories, to just get a random news story here and there. That's what I used it for. And then I thought more about it, and I was like, so I use the Google feed or Google Discovery to what? To read whatever article is showing me. Why do I need to? I mean, I know it shows other things like what you have on your calendar or what, but I don't really even use my calendar. I guess I should really start using it more. But for the most part, I know what my schedule is going to be like. So here's what I did instead. So I don't know if any of you guys know, but I use a news reader to get my news when I read tech news or any kind of news when it comes to science. So instead of swiping over to get my news, all I do right now is I double tap. When I double tap, I have it open a news app that I use. I use Feedly to get a lot of my news, right? And I was like, why can't I just use that? That's what I've been using. That's what I've been using to get all of to get all of my or to get all of my news anyway. So as easy as a double tap. The one thing I was scared about, right? The one thing I was scared about using Lawnchair instead of Huawei's UI was, you know what feature I really liked? I don't know if you remember in my first video or second video, to take a screenshot, you have to use your knuckle, which I thought at first, I thought it was gimmicky, but now I use it all the time. So to take a screenshot, you have to knock with your knuckle. You knock on it twice. You knock on the screen twice. It's like a weird angle if I can do it, but and you see, just using your knuckle will take the screenshot down there. If you use two knuckles, of course, it's not going to work. Like so like if I do it there, oh shit, now it's not working. There you go. So use two knuckles and then you'll get it to screen record. Trust me, it's easier than that. I know it was like, but it might be the angle, whatever. I'm not BSing you. I'm not trying to make an excuse. Like for the most part, like when I use two knuckles, it'll screen record and then now it's not doing it. So now if it's going to be an issue, I'll let you know. Of course. Anyway, the two knuckle feature for screenshot works really well. I'll have to double check on the double knuckle, whatever kind of thing. Anyway, that's it. You know, the one thing that, oh no, I want to talk about battery life real quick. So as far as battery life, I should pull that up. I know I should have just shared that. I forgot to have that on cue. So I did another battery life test, right? To see how long, because I've had this phone for a week and I've only charged it twice. That's how long this battery has lasted me. So like so far, I'm charging every 3 days, just about. Every 3 days is how long this phone has lasted me. So as far as battery life, here we go. And I don't know how well you're going to see it. I wish I had just shared. I wish I just had shared the screenshot with you. But if you see here, this was my last battery charge. I used it for 2 days and 11 hours, so 59 hours, right? And if you look at the screen on time, 8 hours and 3 minutes. This had 2% battery left. So the last screen on time was 7 hours and 40 minutes. This time the screen on time was 8 hours and 3 minutes. FYI, I do use 5G. So 5G is enabled on this phone. And I'm home a good amount of time. I'm good. I'm home probably like at this point, I feel like I go out a bit more now, but I'm still home like 80 to 90% of the time. So even though I'm home quite a bit, when I do take this off Wi-Fi network, I'm using 5G. I do a lot of YouTube. I use Telegram. I use YouTube Advanced is what I use, Spotify, and then just like browsing the web on Opera. And yeah, so I'm getting incredible battery life. And then as far as charging, so I said this before, on my very first charge up test, it took me from 0% from a dead battery to 100%. It took anywhere between 1 hour and 7 minutes to 1 hour and 9 minutes. That's what I checked in between every 2 minutes at that point, because it was just going up really slow at that point. In 1 hour on a dead battery, it got to 96%. That's what I was trying to say. On my second charge up test from a dead battery, in 1 hour, it got to 97%. And then it also took about an hour and 7 minutes and an hour and 9 minutes to hit 100%. So very consistent in those two testings. It's almost ridiculous. I've never had so the iPhone 11 Pro was my very first phone that I was able to get like a day and a half legit of battery life on it. This Huawei P40 Pro Plus is my first phone that I can get 2.5 days of battery life in it, which is really crazy to me that I'm getting that much battery on it. And it takes an hour and 7 to an hour and 9 minutes to charge from 100%. So I charge my phone every 2.5 days. I get incredible battery life on it. The camera, I am still working on doing tests. So please look out for that. I told myself this week I need to focus more on my channels, and that's what I'm doing, even though I have this new job now. But I'm going to share all of that with you guys. But so far, the P40 Pro Plus is still like, I'm still thrilled with it. I talked to Mike for quite a bit, Simply Your Device or Joker Tech. And Mike talked to me and he asked me, was it worth $1,300? And it's weird because it was a weird question to think about. Because first he asked me if I would, So let me give you that answer. The way I said it, I said to me, I felt like it was worth it. I actually I feel like I'll know if it was more worth it when I do this camera comparison. Then I'll give you a better idea if it was worth it. But right now, the way I feel about it, I feel like it was worth it. But at the same time, I still cannot recommend it to people. I think if people use the Aurora store, I think they'll get almost every app that they need and they'll get it updated. But the only reason that I cannot recommend it is for people who might not be as tech savvy. I don't think they want to use the Aurora store to like get all their stuff. But for people like me, for other tech people who know how to like work their way around phones, I think you would be fine with it. It's just there's a lot of pros on it, and obviously there are cons, but this is also me trying to move away from Google. Oh, let me just share the one thing that I started using. So I don't have Google Photos right now. All of my photos are in Google Photos. Everything, my whole life right now in the last like 8 years or so is on Google Photos. And I was like, what can I find as a replacement for Google Photos? And then I ended up using was it OneNote? Is that what they call that? No, OneDrive, right? OneDrive. OneDrive, right? Yeah. So I started using OneDrive, and I got that on the Aurora store as well. And OneDrive gives you up to 5 gigs of space free. And I tried looking at their plans. And actually, let me ask you guys, for anyone that's in here, if you have any recommendations on like a photo app service that would be better or just about as good as Google Photos that I could at least take a look at. Again, I'm not trying to like fully switch over, but I want to see what's available. So on my P40 Pro Plus right now, I'm using OneDrive, and I'm using it to upload all my photos. But I was also looking at their paid plans, and you can get, what is it? I think they'll give you 1 terabyte of storage, so 1,000 gigabytes, and you get to use their Microsoft 365 suite, so Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or whatever. And I think that costs $60 a year. I think it was $60 a year. Did I see that right? I can't remember. But I thought that was a pretty good deal. But then I saw Dropbox, and I think Dropbox is about the same price, $60, but they give you 2 terabytes. It's not going to give you Microsoft 365, obviously, but it gives you a ton of storage space. So I was thinking of doing that instead. I don't know. I just want to try to find a replacement, and I'll do a little more research on it. But that's pretty much it with my updates for that.